Jeremy Weiss here with Rise 25. I am talking to the founder of Trade Press Services, Jerry Nylands. If you don't know them, check them out at tradepressservices.com. They help companies stand out in their marketplaces, B2B companies, and basically they get the right message, the right medium in front of the right person or company. And Jerry, thanks for joining me. We're going to talk about, all things content marketing, and how do you create a corporate communications toolkit? Most people will talk about the external side, but most people don't really think of this as internal.
That's right.
Corporate communication. So talk about what you mean by internal corporate communications.
Well, I think what many companies forget is that their internal stakeholders, their employees, sometimes even their vendors, their independent contractors, are customers too. And the same principles that apply to external communications apply to internal communications. So people want to feel a part of the company. They want to know what the mission and vision is. They want to know what their role is in achieving that vision and mission. And so when you look at an internal communications plan, you need to think about your employee handbooks and the manuals and the training that you provide and the cross-training that you provide, employee newsletters. How often do you reach out to your internal team, and with what kind of messaging? Do they know what's going on in the company? Do they know when changes have taken place? Does the CEO acknowledge accomplishments and achievements? Is the CEO expressing gratitude for the work that's done by their internal folks? So those are just some of the ideas that a company could use when putting together an internal communications toolkit.
Yeah, I mean, arguably, Jerry, that could be the most important thing someone does, is communicating the vision and mission to the team, because they're the people who are going to be kind of the tentacles that are reaching out, and they may be communicating even more so with the customers or clients than the CEO potentially.
That's so true, and that's one reason why brand is important. So a brand communicates the feel of your company. Of course, the consistency of your logo and your messaging, that's part of a brand. But, are you a formal company or informal company? Are you youth-oriented, or are you broader in scope? Are you structured or flexible? Are you innovative, or do you rely only on data? So it's important to communicate your brand not only externally but internally as well. And then the other part of internal communications toolkit is really making sure the CEO and the top leadership of the company walk the walk. If there's a vision, if there's a mission, if there are established values, how do they communicate that in deed and in words?
Yeah. And here's the thing, Jerry. So this is probably common, right? And you probably get this a lot, which is if it's a CEO or founder or team, and they're like, you know what, one of two things. Maybe we don't have a clear mission, vision, and values, or maybe we don't have one at all. Where do you tell people to start to get clear on, okay, like, first of all, we may have one, I don't know if we communicate it, or we don't have one at all?
Well, I think first of all, companies need to know the difference between a vision and a mission. So a vision is what it looks like when we're successful. So for Trade Press Services, our vision is that we have become the premier provider of marketing, communications, and media relations services, and are trusted throughout the world with our clients' business goals. So that's the vision, because it's developed as if we've already achieved that. The mission is what you're in business to do. What's your purpose? And they sound similar, but they're written very differently. And I think it's important that when companies create those vision and mission statements, that they are succinct so that it can roll off the tongues of the mouths of everybody who needs to know it.
Yeah. And I just want to encourage people, you wrote up a whole post on this also, which is tradepressservice.com/mission-statements. So you can kind of check that out, and the thoughts and more kind of detailed explanations behind that. So that's kind of from the internal corporate communications toolkit. So what about from the external corporate communications toolkit? Maybe let's start with the website.
So, a lot of companies will do a website and then they forget to update it or review it. They don't look at their back-end analytics and see where visitors are coming, how much time they're spending, what they're doing on the site. They may not have easy navigation. They may want to update their graphics. They may want to add content that they didn't originally consider. I can't tell you the number of sites that I go to that don't have a news or resources page. I mean, how do you provide customer-centric information if you don't have that kind of a tab? So I think it enhances your reputation and generates leads when you revise and review and update your website regularly.
Yeah. Yeah, and we talk about website, press releases, white papers, trade magazine articles. Another big one is case stories and testimonials. So talk about that.
Case studies and testimonials are important because they showcase what you've been able to do for other people. And it helps build trust when somebody can look at a case study and say, here's a problem, here's a solution, and here's the results. And if they did it for those people, they can do it for me too.
Yep. And, there's books and ebooks or social media. And maybe talk about webinars. That's a popular medium too, especially now.
Certainly webinars and podcasts maybe go hand in hand. Because of the Corona-19 pandemic, we've been forced to change the way we do business, and we're now out there in the marketplace doing face-to-face events and presentations. So we have to rely on other mediums and channels. So I think that webinars where you have a professional, webinars and podcasts that have professionals who can guide you through the process to help you get the most number of participants and help you with your presentation graphics, your speech, your engagement, the kind of questions you ask, and your follow-up. Because it's not only about doing the webinar or the podcast, it's what you do afterwards that counts.
Yeah. So what do you mean by that? Because most of the time we drop the ball with follow-up.
That's right. And so, first of all, you want to thank people for participating. You want to ask them what they learned in the webinar. You ask them if they want to have any questions. Ask them how you can be of service to them. You want to engage and try and get some feedback. Yeah. For people that you invited who didn't attend. Maybe they accepted the invitation, but for some reason they didn't attend. Provide them with the recording of the webinar and then follow the same protocols for follow-up. And for people who didn't respond, it may not hurt to send them clips from the webinar or the podcast to begin an engagement program so that maybe next time they will participate.
Yeah. I mean, you're a master at that and you practice what you preach. I mean, that's how we continue the relationship after a podcast episode, and we just continue to chat and do things together. So I appreciate that. And it's like a simple thing of just like thanking them and showing gratitude and appreciation. And sometimes we get busy and we forget to do those things.
Yes, that's true.
So the last piece, and I want to tell people, Jerry, they can go to tradepressservice.com/ corporate-communications-toolkit if you're not already on this page and see it. The last kind of main piece, and obviously this is important because it's listed 3 times. So, which is the communicate, communicate, communicate.
That's right. So sending out one email is not a campaign. Sending out one
It's not? Shoot. No,
is not a campaign. So, like we talked early in an earlier blog, you want to communicate frequently. So determine what your budget will allow, determine what your audience expects without being a nuisance, and keep it going. Build the momentum. Share your ideas, but most importantly, share what's of value to your target audiences and how you can help them achieve their goals.
Yeah. I love it. Everyone check it out. Check out tradepressservices.com. Check out more blogs, more videos, and appreciate it.
Thank you, Jeremy.
Thanks, Sherry.